It's 10 o'clock.
Yes. Woo!
All righty then. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right. So if you're staying, and if you put your name on your name tag, point them towards me, so that because I am horrible with names, and I recognize that, and I'm okay with it. So, all right. I want to thank you all, first of all, for waking up on Saturday and coming in to work together to try and make this awesome organization even awesomer. All right? So, awesomer. So
I'm surprised.
Huh? So before we begin, I'm going to ask Pastor Lawson if he would come up and open us in prayer.
Okay. Can I sit right here in my little cage?
You can stand right there. God will hear you.
So let me also continue that welcome. And this is, I think it's a very critical and important gathering that we have here today. So I'm glad everybody was willing to come and be a part of it. Let us pray. Our Father, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, we ask your blessings upon this meeting, upon the moderator and all those that who have attended. And we ask that you would bless us with the ideas needed to come up with the right strategies to do a good work, a work that will glorify you and that will also benefit our fellow man and woman. Bless the families of all those who serve here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Benita Simmons. My title is Chief Executive Officer. Well, I was born in Stamford, Connecticut in 1971. I'm thankful that I graduated in 1989 from Kinston High School. And we always refer to Kinston as the K. So I'm from the K, you know? And I attended college as a non-traditional student. I stayed home with my children when they were, up until the time they were in middle school. And during that time, I was an online student. So I started out with Liberty University, and then I finished with my Biblical Studies, my master's degree in Biblical Studies from United American Free Will Baptist Bible College. I also have a fine arts degree from Craven Community College. So that's kind of where I had got my start from, if that, makes sense. So I married early. I got married when I was 18, and that marriage did not work. It was an abusive marriage, so I soon got a divorce. And I often reflect on that time because it was a time of learning for the population that I'm going to serve. But I didn't know that at the time. So fast forward, I met my husband, who I am married to now, Eric Simmons. We got married in 1994. And we've been married right now 29 years. So we're moving. We have 3 wonderful children. Makiva, EJ, which is Eric Jr., and Landon. All 3 adults, so we're very happy about that. And we have 3 grandchildren.
My name is Eric B. Simmons, and I've been married to Benita since 1994. Well, actually, we met in a church. We just happened to see each other and stuff there, but prior to that, I seen her earlier, maybe 6, 7 years earlier in that church, and just, didn't have no communication with her, but this time, she just happened to come again and seen in the church and stuff, and then we just, I guess the pastor, Paulette Bryant, introduced us together and stuff there, and then that was it. I mean, I called her and we changed phone numbers, and that's when it all began. Well, that was, like I said, I'm proud of me, seeing, meeting Benita and stuff there. She had a band that we called Try by Fire and stuff there, and that probably been a few years proud of me meeting her and stuff there. So once we met, and then I think after we got married, and her father named Pastor Landon Burney, that was it still was existing, and so we carried on the mission, and at the same time, me being the husband and her musical career is at the same time, I was all for increasing the exposure and everything else that would need for that. And this has always been her mission to help people because, she used to sing in prisons, go to different prisons all around, and then had communication with some of the, the females that, they may send it to our P.O. box and stuff there, and then she talked with them, and they said once they get out, they didn't know whether they had a place to stay, and that just seemed like it kind of opened the door to a lot of stuff in her mind because we have pillow talk and anything that we can do to help God, in His ministry as well. So, well, I can tell you in the past that we had communication. We had before called. We did try to help people. Because at the same time, we went and also rented a trailer to help some females and stuff. So that went pretty good. But at the same time, you do have some people that utilize you and take advantage of certain things. But this is a blessing, and at the same time, we proud of this place we're at now. We had another incident where we was going through the board and the aldermen and everything else and stuff there, and where we did have another house there, but they didn't seem that was going to be in our best interest because we had we have rental property and we was going to donate a house there, but I guess the residents on the street, it was all good until they found out where it's going to be put at, and then that kind of flipped the script and changed plans and stuff, and then that was voted against, but God already had a plan. So someone donated this property, and even though it was in a different zone, we went through the alderman, and it's in the right zone. But so we've been kind of following God's plans, and she wrote a song called Step Back, and so once we pray on certain things, we get out of the way and let God work be done, and we don't force it or try to do more than we can. So this came about of that.
It's called, you said Step Back.
Yeah, it's called Step Back. On her album this time, it was a song called Step Back. Watch God work.
Well, what's very important to me, and it has always been important, and I think it's because of the foundation that my mother and father laid for me, family. Family means everything. And in the world and culture that we live in, children are so important, and they're like sponges. And so my father, when my husband and I were talking about getting married, he said, I can't tell you what to do, but if you can financially work it out and let Benita stay home during the formative years at least, you will be so glad that you did. And it was a great investment. I was there to help with sight words when they started school and they needed to learn their sight words. I was there at home waiting for the school bus to when it let them off the bus or get them ready for school, to send them to school, fix hot breakfasts, to let them know, hey, you can do this, especially if it was a test day and they were a little apprehensive and had some anxiety. I was able to reassure them that you're going to do your best. And after you do your best, that's all that is required in this house. And if your best means you got a D, okay. But we're going to see if you can get a C the next time, I'll get you a tutor if I don't understand it, or if daddy doesn't understand it, if your sister doesn't understand it. We wanted to create a home of love and forgiveness and knowing that you have the support of your home. And so it was the best investment. If they don't even see it, it was the best investment for me. And I think now as adults, they see that it was a real investment because, again, I enjoy and I love family, but more than that, I love for my family to know that they're important. And, with working moms, sometimes it's such a struggle because they want to be home. They want to do the things that they need to do for their children, but they have to work. And so, again, I'm grateful that we were able to, not that it wasn't tight sometimes, But I was resourceful. I used to go to the local college to get my hair done, couldn't go to the salon those days. I had to, I got to press on nails. I couldn't go get my nails manicured at the nail shop, but it was worth it. And so now I can. And I'm very grateful that that decision was made early on.
So the fine arts part.
The fine arts part.
Tell us about that. What is it that your talent is?
It's singing, and I am so very grateful. Shout out to Craven Community College in New Bern, North Carolina. I received a scholarship for music, and it has just been the best thing for me because I went in as a non-traditional student because, again, I had some credits with Liberty, and I wanted to just, I need to tighten this up. I need to get something. And so I asked, was there a scholarship available? And prior to me enrolling, I had been asked to do the national anthem about 4 years straight at the graduation for Craven Community College. And the music instructor there, or I should say the coordinator of the music department, Mr. Phil Ivancho, I met with him and I asked, is there a scholarship that you all afford anyone that would like to come be in your program? He said, aren't you the one that sung the national anthem? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you already auditioned. So yeah, we'll find a place for you. And so I was a part of the show choir at Craven Community College for the duration that I was there. And then it turned into a job. I have the pleasure of serving students every day in the music department, in the fine arts department, and who are transferring. And I take care of all of the ordering of the uniforms for the show choir. I speak with individuals who want to book them in the community. So I'm kind of like their booking agent, so to speak. And I take care of our professor, Dr. Chauncey Stevenson, who is the coordinator of our fine arts area.
What's your solo career?
Well, my mother can tell you, I have loved music all my life. There's not been a time when I wasn't singing. I sing everywhere. I just don't save my talent for a paying gig. When I'm in the grocery store and someone says, hey, we need to sing me a song or hit me a note, that's all I need. So my solo career started probably in, I'll say 1997. I recorded my first, back then it was cassettes and albums and all of that, called The Creation. And you can still find it on your digital markets, but it was The Creation. And I enjoyed that. And recently I just did a solo, a single called Only God. And that's going really well. A lot of radio stations over the United States have picked me up and put me in rotation. So again, I'm very, very grateful. Shout out to my producer, my producer, Reginald Midget. We call him Maestro.
Benita and I have traveled internationally. We went to Germany back in 2019, October of 2019. We went to Germany to minister. And the thing that I can tell you about Benita is she didn't meet any strangers over there. She was able to, she could tell. It's like she has this gift to where she can tell when women are in need. She can, it's like she just has this thing about, I guess it's a God-given thing. And so she doesn't meet any strangers. And I remember her even being on the plane, talking to a stewardess one time. The stewardess was having a bad day, okay? And she had kind of got an attitude with Benita. And I remember Benita calming the stewardess down, giving her an encouraging word. And the stewardess came to the back of the plane where I was at, and the stewardess was like, I don't know who that lady is, but she definitely has God in her heart. And so there's a million stories that I can give you because we've been a lot of places and we've worked together a lot. But there's times when people have reached out to me, women have reached out to me for help because I'm a minister in regards to certain things, and I was able to point them right to Bonita. I have this woman that needs some food. I have this woman that needs a place to stay. And Bonita has, through Tribe by Fire, has been able to help a lot of people.
And then my road manager, Robert Brock, who is instrumental in finding different opportunities for me to soar in with my music. And I can never forget my husband because he makes sure that I'm able to go different places, whether it's a paid gig or not. Sometimes it's showcasing, and you don't get paid for a showcase. So he makes sure that all is well at home and that we can travel and do the things that we need to do independently so that we have the freedom to do what I'm doing with my sister's house, sharing this wonderful opportunity to serve a population that's underserved. I mean, no one usually thinks about the women who come out of prison in a way of providing housing for them, because most of us think, oh, they can go back home when they get out of prison. But that's not the case all the time. And so with the solo career, I'm oftentimes able to have a concert and I can donate those funds. I can have people come to let them know this is a benefit for my sister's house. And a lot of times the artists, they're very supportive and saying, okay, we'll be glad to help and we'll lend our talent. So it's the best of both worlds for me because I believe music is my passion, but serving the ladies at my sister's house and serving Tribe by Fire, the organization, is my purpose. So recently we've had a retreat to now put some gas in the car, so to speak. We have the house built, we have it finished, we have the furnishings. So now what do we do? And we thought that it would be a good thing to have Mike Williams, who is a great facilitator. He's a very kind gentleman, to help us move along. And so with his experience with Habitat for Humanity, he was the perfect person to do to do that for us. So Mike came in and prepared a day for us with breakout groups to put some plans together. And not just put them together because we all know we're notorious for having plans, but then it's implementing. Okay, so we have to follow up. And he made us promise that we would indeed follow up. And so Deidre and Mike, Deidre, who is our vice president of our organization, they put a wonderful outline together as to what that day would look like, what we needed to do, what steps we need to take now. And Deidre, of course, she is our grant writer, and she's also our resource coordinator. She's the one that's in charge of our volunteers and making sure everyone know exactly where they need to be when it's a service day, or if there are things that the house needs. She puts out our constant contact to let our supporters know, hey, this is what we need. And she's been very fortunate in getting a lot of great responses. No one ever tells her no, and we've been fortunate to have her on our team.
First of all, welcome you, and I'm going to run through the agenda so that you can see. The day's got a lot of stuff packed into a short period of time, but I think it's going to really help you and in turn help the entire organization be better as we get to this point where we're really going to really make some impacts here in New Bern and probably throughout the rest of Eastern North Carolina. So be proud of that. I would highlight preliminary because there's a lot that goes into planning what you're going to do as an organization, and it's going to take more than a few hours on a Saturday to actually come up with that. Okay, but you Tribe by Fire, and you'll hear from Bonita. We've gone through a long history of ups and downs, and we've finally have this beautiful location, and now we're in that transition where we're going from building up, and we're really like out of the starting gate. We really need to now start running towards that elusive and imaginary finish line, but we are ready to go ahead and make that big leap and start doing it. So basically, we're going to have to use a whole different set of skill sets and everything just to really make this dream become that reality and start to make the impacts that we are going to make here in this community.
Well, we serve right now 9 counties. We're surrounded, including Craven, we're surrounded by counties who do not currently have a home for women who are coming out of prison, to our knowledge. We've done some research. We have a lot of domestic houses or safe houses, but we don't have many houses that are equipped and serve only women who are coming out of prison. We have some recovery houses, women who are struggling with substance abuse, but none that just focuses on the transformation of that woman or the re-entry of that woman when she comes out of prison. So it is our prayer to have more than one house. We tell everyone we want to get this one running and operating, get some of the glitches out, so we'll be very successful in opening multiple homes throughout the United States. Because why stop with North Carolina? If we can go to another state, let's do it. But we're going to take our time, and we're going to be moved by, we're going to be moved by the plan. And as the plan grows, as the plan has to be modified, then that's what we'll do. That's why it's good to have a good board of directors. So,
Okay, my name is Deidre DeRocher, and I'm currently the vice chair of the board of directors of Tried by Fire, and I have been the volunteer coordinator and primary grant writer since 2019, when I became involved with Bonita and this project.
Okay, I'm Dan Lawson. I'm the president of Tried by Fire. Also serve as chairman of the board. I oversee the meetings, or preside rather, over the meetings and the various events that we come together to make decisions and to do strategy and that kind of thing.
And my role in building the house involved trying to secure grant funding for our construction and also for furnishing the house. And the thing that is exceptional is that the entire house and all of its contents have been fully paid for. And that just doesn't happen in the nonprofit world. So that has been very gratifying. The way that this project has been for me has been life-changing. But that's also because of meeting Bonita. She is a force unto herself, and she has inspired me about this project.
My role in the house being built was, it's not a whole lot. I contributed, just like all the other volunteers and members and associates of Tried by Fire. I made financial contributions. I didn't pick up any hammers, didn't nail any nails or anything like that. But I participated in the decision-making and the strategies, so forth, and came around at different intervals to look at the progress that had been made as the house was going up. Worked a little bit with with some of the contractors in terms of providing them with information and so forth, but Mostly I just sat back and watched the house go up as some of the other folk that you'll be interviewing worked hard to make sure everything was happening step by step and put in place. So I guess I was on easy street in terms of the house being built and so forth. Well, it's been a great experience. I'm a part of a few other nonprofit organizations. I pastor a church. I'm coordinator in a men's ministry. I'm a coordinator in a fraternity. And there are other outreach organizations that I work with. This has been a great experience for me. Number one, the vision for which this whole initiative started, the vision of having a place where women coming out of prison will have access to facility, programs, just have a network of functions that will help that individual, transition back into their neighborhood, community, family, job, that kind of thing. To have it set up and for free to that individual is, that's just a great thing. It's fulfilling a great need. So that in itself gives you a warm and fuzzy feeling. But then to see the people that came around the table to make it happen, the movers and the shakers. Again, you'll be interviewing some of them, I'm sure. To be able to work with them and see how diligent they were about making sure everything got done. And then the community involvement, the community support. Whenever we had a open house event, the people that showed up, and other agencies like law enforcement that came out to show that they were very interested in what we were doing and that they were standing ready to support what we were doing. That just makes you feel real good. There's a song that says, the songwriter says, if I can help somebody as I pass along the way, then my living would have not been in vain. That's the kind of warm and fuzzy feeling I get from this project.
I'm Robert Brock. I am kind of an administrator. I won't say kind of an administrator. I'm the administrator / road manager for Bonita Vernie Simmons as well. On the involvement, Bonita and I knew Bonita from childhood from singing in Kinston. So I reached out to her back in 2015. I was living in Charlotte and we were having the Gospel Image Awards. And I wanted to see if she was still singing. And so we reconnected. So I ended up road managing for her and became aware of Tried by Fire, Inc. in my sister's house. So I wanted to get on board and help with that. So I helped her with a fundraiser a couple of years ago to bring funds to my sister's house. So I just stayed with her from that, just being involved in various things that she's done behind the scenes, research and different stuff like that. And what it means to me, my sister's house means to me is, for one, I love the fact that this was a vision that God gave her over 20 years ago, and she stuck to it. And to see something that God gives you and it comes to fruition is amazing, that she didn't take down and give in on the dream that will be able to be a blessing to other people. So that means a lot to me in regards to, it gives you hope. For one, that when God gives you a dream, doesn't matter how long it takes. If He gave it to you, it'll come to pass. But the dream also impacts other people. So to see the house built now and to see what it means to the people in the community, just really lets you know that, God is true to His promises and that we're all connected, and keep hoping and keep your dreams alive.
So we take a little bit of a shift here, and you can stop hearing from number 13 and hear from number 1. She's going to talk to you about the history of Tried by Fire.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm very thankful that each of you all are here. I really am. When we talk about the history of Tried by Fire, we have to talk about my mom, my dad. They saw something in me in 1971 that said, she'll complete our family. Because in our introduction, I shared with you that I'm adopted. I'm 52 years old, and for all of those years, I've never been treated as an adopted kid. My mother and my father, when he was living, never said, she's our adopted child. It's always been, she's our daughter. And for those of you that never met my dad, a lot of people say, I act a lot like him. If God gives me a vision, if I am asked to do something, I am relentless in doing a good job. If I don't know how to do it, I'll find someone that can do it because I don't have all the skill sets. So in 1985, my dad knew that I loved singing, and he said, well, let's put together a little gospel group. Oh, wow. We sang everywhere. We sang, I don't know how many of you all remember the Cystic Fibrosis Telethon here in New Bern. For years we sang. We had the uniforms and all of that. And we sang throughout Eastern North Carolina. As I grew and the band members grew, they were older than I was. So life happened. They got married. Some had children. And I was still a youngin', so to speak, but still passionate about singing. And so I kept singing, and I kept singing. And one day, my father, when he started his outreach ministry in Kinston, he said that he believed that I should sing in the prisons too. And you know, what daddy says usually, goes. But because my mama said we're two peas in a pod, because he asked, it was never, you going. It was never that. He said, Benita, have you thought about, because I'm an adult now, have you thought about going into prisons? I said, no. I said, but I think that'll be good, Dad. So in 2000, that's what we did. We just went to the prison and was feeling kind of good about it. So, when you do something good, you feel good. But when I came out, that joy quickly turned to sorrow because these women, they were writing me. When I got a letter from the prison, I'm thinking they were going to say, oh, you sounded good. Thank you for coming and all of that. When are you coming back? And they did say that. They started the letter with that. But somewhere around third paragraph, they would say, hey, do you know of any place out? I don't have anywhere to go. So in our area where our church was at the time, it's called South Kinston. As a matter of fact, that area is called Golden Progress. Is that it? Golden Progress in that area, Lincoln Street? And there were some little, what we call shotgun houses. I don't know if y'all know about those. But there were the kind of houses that, hey, you go in the front door, you go out the back door. It's not, not a lot of luxury. But there were a couple that were available. Then we had a cousin who had a trailer that was unoccupied. It was vacant. We had another friend here in New Bern that had a trailer that was vacant. And my husband and I had an apartment that was vacant. So my father said, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to put these women in homes that we already know people. And the church, our friends, different ones, we'll just let them know what we're doing and if they would like to donate. Sounded good to me. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And we did for about 2 years till the money started running out. Because we didn't have a 501c3. It was just from our heart. It was a part of our church ministry. So I began to put things in action to get the 501c3. Now, at this time, my dad had already died. He died in 2008. He didn't see what you're sitting in. But because he put it in me, I just got to believe he knew it would come to pass. Because like my father, I'm relentless. If I have to walk alone, it'll get done. If I have to come out of my pocket, it'll get done. Because it's helping somebody else. I'm grateful because my husband, he is a straight arrow. You know, he's worked for many years with the government and retired in 2016 from the post office. So he already had a plan for our home. Home paid for, cars paid for, children's college is securely taken care of. So that, you know how folks are. Yeah, she getting that money and she just bought her a car. Or, you know, I believe they paying their bills over there with that money that they, you know. He made sure that our house was taken care of so that I could use money that's been given to me down through the years for my sister's house, for Trial by Fire. When there weren't any brochures, when there wasn't a board, when there wasn't anything, it was Benita working the vision. Because I believe in accountability, I'm like, I gotta have a board. So every year from, I'll say the time that my father passed was 2008, maybe from 2011 onward, every other year, we would have an awareness event called Walking in My Sister's Shoes. And what I would do, the ladies that had written me, I asked, hey, what you doing now? Would you like to come and speak to some people to let them know how important having a house when you come out of prison is? And they would be like, oh, yes, Benita, I could come. And so we use the money from our event, Walking in My Sister's Shoes, to get the money for the 501c3. 2013, we applied for the 501c3. 2014, we received the 501c3. And so then in between, there's life. And my husband, as many of you all know, I sing all over the place. And he was like, you know what? You just need to stop that Trial by Fire business and do your singing and just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Get your rest. Because you don't have to do that. Something was tugging. Something said, but if not you, then who? Because I'd been here for a little while and I had not seen or heard of a house for women coming out of prison in this area. How many of you all are from Craven County and been here for over 20 years? Have you all ever heard? No. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I'm not an imposter either. You know why? Because when I come in, if I don't know, I tell you I don't know. But I am confident. I'm confident in how my mom and dad raised me. I'm confident in how God continues to use me when I am shaking in my boots many times. But I am grateful that when I step back, sometimes I'll just ride by this place and tears come in my eyes. I said, wow, look what we done. Look what we done. I never say, look what I done. No. Look what we done. Look what we've accomplished. And so I'm very grateful that I learned something over the years. It's the 5 P's. Some of you all know them. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Thank you.
Rosa Burning. I am Bonita Burning Simmons' mother. She was a very, what do I want to say about Bonita? She always been bubbly, always been outgoing, always been a happy baby growing up, a happy little child growing up. She was just always happy. She was always grateful, appreciative for anything that you do for her, great or small. She was always that. Loving, very giving. There's many funny stories about Bonita. Like I said, she always loved to sing, no matter what, and where other kids was going out on the weekend, maybe to the movies, skating rink, or something like that, Bonita always wanted to sing. And she was always singing all over Eastern North Carolina. And that was Bonita's life. Singing was her life. She always loved to go to church from a young girl up. She always loved church, always loved singing. And I can't think, I wish I knew the question. Yes, when she was about 7 years old, she sung at a tent revival. And she sung, they was having a tent revival, and she wanted to sing, of course. So, of course, my husband was the type, he always pushed her to sing if she wanted to sing. So she sang this song, Going Up Yonder. And she made the paper, because they had never seen a little girl that young and that brave, because she was never afraid to sing in public or anything. So she sang Going Up Yonder, and from then on, she was known as the little girl that sing, and wherever she went, she had to sing Going Up Yonder, whether it was in a tent or church or wherever. I think I forgot about that. It was my husband's vision, and she was saying that she started out in the prison singing, and then after my husband died, she wanted to fulfill the vision that my husband had started. And I thought it was a bit much, but Bonita, no, because she loves her father so that she wanted to make sure that the vision, that he started was fulfilled. And that's how it all, started with my husband. And I knew she could do it because that's the type of person Bonita is, which she make up her mind, to do something. She's going to do it, no matter what anyone say. So, there was times I was wishing that she would not take on such a big endeavor, but she did, and I'm thankful today that she did. It just blew my mind when I first saw the house, and when I saw it coming together, because I was there from the beginning, and it didn't look like much. I said, it's not going to be able, to do all of this. But when you see the house today, every time I see it, like tears come in my eyes, because I know it was God. It's the God thing that He worked through Bonita. And that's the type of person that Bonita is. When she set out to do something, she does it.
In 2000, my father suggested that I start singing and sharing my gift in the prisons. Hadn't thought about it before. I'm like, okay, sure. And so we gone to several of the prisons here in North Carolina. And then one of my classmates invited me to Aliceville, Alabama. And she asked if I would do a concert there. And we actually did 2 concerts in one day at 2 camps. So I'm very drawn to the prison community. In fact, I had the ladies laughing. I said, ladies, I want you to always look at yourself and value yourself as beautiful and wonderful and smart and intelligent, because after all, you're in a gated community. And they just started laughing, yeah, we are in a gated community.
And so sharing life with them, sharing the fact that, hey, although I'm singing, I was 18 years old and I thought I was in love and I thought that I had found the one, but he wasn't the one. And how do you jump from being an abused wife to being independent and being able to love yourself again? You can do it, but it takes some work. It takes being around people who love you and having a great support system. And sometimes that means counseling. Sometimes that means going to church, because, I'm a church girl, and praying and believing God for the miracle. But whatever it takes for you, you can do it. You don't have to stay in the shape that you're in. One of my favorite singers is Tremaine Hawkins. And she and her husband, Walter Hawkins, one time they made a song, and maybe some of you who are listening to this or seeing this may remember a song that they wrote called The Potter's House. And those lyrics says, the potter wants to put you back together again. You don't have to stay in the shape that you're in, because the potter wants to put you back together again. The potter is Jesus. And so I've been able to use the platform of singing and sharing to let people know that regardless of where they are, they don't have to stay there. Even if you're on the mountaintop, everything is going great. It can get better. And so I'm a big optimist. I just believe. And so when it comes to singing, when it comes to sharing, when it comes to the population that I serve, I'm grateful that I'm able to share the transformation that God placed in my life with them.
As I've done the research for grants, I have found a world that I didn't know existed. I have learned so much about how women come to be incarcerated, what happens to them and their children while they are incarcerated, and the unique challenges they have once they are released from prison or jails that make it exceedingly more difficult than for men who are in the same situation. There's a true double standard for women because women, and particularly mothers, are held to a much higher standard, so they're not supposed to be in trouble. And the kind of secondary passion for me is not only to help women get second chances, but to be concerned with their children. Because if we don't break the cycle of poverty, if we don't break the cycle of violence, if we aren't supportive to families who have parents who are incarcerated, the children wind up being significantly impacted. And so those are some of my newfound passions and purpose in life. I'm hoping that the retreat will put the purpose of what we're doing into a context, but I'm also hoping that it really clarifies for the members of the board and the members of the advisory council, or advisory committee rather, what their role and responsibility is, and that it allows all of us to be on the same page for what this project involves for right now and going forward. I'm hoping that it provides some direction, but also reestablishes commitment for what it's going to take to make this transitional living and reentry program successful.
Prison. 12% were homeless before they turned 18. 19% were in foster care at some point. 43% came from families who received welfare or some form of public assistance. And 45% had been arrested by the age of 18. Although women are more likely than men to enter prison having received a high school diploma or an equivalent like a GED, over half, or 53%, did not finish high school. Over 26% of incarcerated women were homeless in the year before their arrest, and 53% were unemployed before they were arrested. Women reported disabilities at 50% and physical and mental health problems at higher rates than men. 58% met the criteria for substance abuse disorder the year before they went to prison, and 75% had some indication of past or current mental health problems. More than 2/3, or 68%, shared a history of physical or sexual abuse. And I found this really shocking, another study of women in jails and prisons found that 98% had experienced some form of trauma in their lifetime. Women in prison are 58% more likely to be parents of minor children, and this increases to just over 80% if you count women in jails and children up to the age of 18. As of early this month, our only Craven County Sheriff's Office and Detention Center, which also accommodates Jones and Pimlico County individuals, identified 49 women currently incarcerated. The range of their charges and the length of their sentences were varied, but they were not available or authored. But the comment from a staff member at the detention center is that there is a great need for female housing for women to have a safe place to stay when they are released. So my sister's house will be a great resource for women from these three primary communities. Over 20% of women may not have a safe place to live upon release. Because of the limited number of options or core finances, many must return to an abusive partner, a dysfunctional or unhealthy environment, or become homeless, all of which increase their risk for being rearrested and put back in jail. Because I don't know why, in this world, homelessness becomes a crime. And it becomes a revolving door. And the more you get arrested for something that you have no control over, the more you get rearrested. And then pretty soon, where's your confidence level? Where's your support? Okay, I digress.
It's okay.
Without a viable address, a woman is not able to obtain the important photo ID that is necessary for her to apply for a job, a driver's license, housing, or whatever benefit she might still be eligible for. 60% of women do not qualify for government assistance upon their release, and that includes food stamps. Or that includes other kinds of things like not being able to get a certification to hold a certain kind of job. If you wanted to be a cosmetologist, or you wanted to be a hairdresser, or a nail technician, or a phlebotomist, if you've got a prison record, you can't get that certification. You can't get that license. And if you've had drug events, you can't get food stamps. So how do you support your family? How do you support your kids? Again, I digress. 90% are unemployed and without transportation after release. The scarcity of gender-specific support and relevant assistance programs for women newly released from incarceration makes the prospect of successful reentry uniquely challenging for women. One prison study of 1,035 women released from custody between January 2013 and January 2014, and even though that's a few years ago, it's probably still somewhat relevant today, indicated that 70% reoffended and returned to custody, parole, or probation within the 2 to 4 year observation period. Notably, 50% of women reoffended in the first year post-release, 36% within 6 months, and 23% within the first 3 months. Other analysis or other studies suggested that 58% of previously incarcerated women are rearrested, with 38% reconvicted and 30% returning to prison within 3 years of release. So it's clear, certainly, that there needs to be an increased intervention and a robust support system for female offenders during the first 2 years of their release from custody. A community-based model, like what we're trying to do here to support women's reentry, is specifically designed to address 7 major areas. The first and probably most critical is housing that is safe, stable, and temporarily in a caring, non-judgmental, home-like setting that will be our response to meet this critical need, where a woman is released and has no other place to go. 524 Roundtree Street will provide an important place for her to start changing her life. Food insecurity, an issue for 70 to 90% of people on probation or parole, will be relieved when we have shared meals and a stocked pantry. Physical health challenges will be addressed through our relationship with places such as Mercy Clinic and other providers that will include dental or eye care that may be needed. Substance abuse disorders and other mental health and behavioral conditions will perhaps be the biggest challenge for our guests and for our staff assisting with appropriate counseling services and support. This is one of the things that I find it really interesting, because a lot of the statistics and my own personal assumption was that the majority of women that we were going to be dealing with would be women of color, because nationally, statistically, women of color are the highest percentage of individuals arrested and convicted. With drug offenses becoming the primary reason for arrest, that demographic has shifted. So we now have a lot more Caucasian women coming into the justice system. And interestingly enough, that tips things upside down in terms of people's expectations about, well, what are we going to do about it now? It's like it was invisible before, but now we got to do something. So reentry is now one of the new trends, if you will, and that's good for us. Because that means that not only we're going to be able to get some attention, but maybe we'll get some new opportunities for funding. Employment and vocational training, as well as education classes, are game changers. Success will not look the same for every woman staying at my sister's house. It's one thing to wish for change, but it's another and a more difficult thing to take the steps towards real change, to do the work. That's going to be up to each and every individual woman. Our professional and experienced staff will need to provide the appropriate case management and support for each individual guest and stress the core values of personal responsibility, accountability, productivity, affirmation, community involvement, integrity, and personal renewal. The responsibility for ensuring the success of my sister's house depends on our board and our advisory committees and our supporters and our donors to meet our own series of challenges and to stay focused on our shared mission to change lives.
one of our supporters is Mr. Antonio Midget, and he represents a wonderful group in New Bern called Random Acts of Kindness. And Random Acts of Kindness have been just that. They have supported Tried by Fire and our project, My Sister's House, with various acts and random acts of kindness, supporting us financially, teaching us about networking in our city. Because a lot of times people don't know who's behind the scenes of a lot of the decisions that are being made. And it's oftentimes when you start talking to people, you find out, oh, I didn't know that you knew him. Oh, so you know Buzzy Stubbs. Oh, you know Antonio. You know Mr. Benny. You know Bruce, and you know Gay. This is so many people that he represents. He's like a walking network machine. He brings people together, and he's always so very, very gracious in saying, Benita, have you met? I need to put you with some so-and-so and so, whoever that is. And it proves to be beneficial to Tried by Fire in My Sister's House. But not just for the sake of raising money, having lasting relationships. That was one of the things that my father was very, very key on, and that is building relationships. I don't want to just meet you and we seal a deal and then later on there's nothing. I want to be able to have a relationship with you, build on that, and if you need me, you know that you can call, and vice versa. So Mr. Midget is a real solid man, and I'm very grateful. Our organization is very grateful to him and Random Acts of Kindness for their support of Tried by Fire.
I'm from Pamlico County. I live in Greensboro, but I worked in New Bern at Stubbs Purdue Law Firm, and we have a fellowship breakfast we call Random Act of Kindness. And most time, all the nonprofits always meet to come to us, and what we do, Random Act of Kindness, is a Bible study, but the money that we raise, we give out to the community. Also, the attorney that I work for, Buzzy Stubbs, is the one that kind of bank, who's got the organization started, and I happen to work for him, so I guess I'm president of the Random Act of Kindness. And long story short, I met Benita because we helped a lady named Juliet Rogers, which was the director of RCS at the time. And she came to us and we helped her. And I guess she told Benita that you need to go meet Angelo. And so Benita called me on the phone, so I invited her to our fellowship meet from 8:30 to 10 o'clock. And it's from all different churches, from the Catholic Church, Presbyterian, Methodist, Baptist. We meet and have our Bible study. And we meet from 8:30 to 10. We used to meet at Captain Ratty's, and we have breakfast buffet. We feed, don't cost nobody nothing. We have different guests to come in and give their spiel why they need help. And we have different ones to come in. And Benita came and she introduced herself about Tried by Fire. And I think we was the first one to really get on board with her. But a lot of organizations come there and they keep from being redundant with organizations. When they come to us, if you got this going and you have this going, and sometimes you can have the same thing, we'll say, why don't you get together so we can, we don't need to supply this. And we have guys from different organizations, fundraisers, like one guy from the Bates Foundation. We have different ministers. And what we do is try to help the community. And this right here is something that is well needed, and we decide who we're going to help and why we're going to help them. Buzzy Stubbs, our owner and president, he have a room called Buzzy. You probably seen upstairs, so Buzzy Stubbs room. And we always donate to her. We give her a check. She comes to us, we always donate. And she speak highly of it. She said, thank you for y'all. And what we do is to, like say, RCS, Salvation. I'm on the Salvation Army board and the RCS board. And in Pamlico County, I was chairman of the DSS board, Department of Social Service. So that's what I do. I do a lot of these things. what I believe is that everyone should have access to a second chance, and it's a fundamental right that should be available to everyone that have, because once you pay your debts, everybody that go in and you change. I can remember when I was 16, 17, 18, and you mature, the things that you done when you were 16, maybe you didn't go to jail for, but it wasn't all good things. And you matured out of it, and you had a chance because maybe God spared you. I mean, I can't say they were bad, but some things wasn't good. Some things I regret that I done when I was 16 years old. You know, and I think everybody should have a second chance in life. And some people, you can't be punished because we need people back in our society to work, for the simple reason we still have vultures out there. And if you take a person, I don't care male or female, you let them out of jail and say, all right, it's it. It's almost like having a kid, and then 3 years old you go, hey, hello to the world. You know, you almost treat them like an animal effect, but in order to keep them out of it, give them a purpose. Right here, we give a purpose and say, this is what you can do. And to keep the people come around and say, I give you $20, I'll make you special women prisoners. And people wouldn't eat, they wouldn't have money. I mean, it's a natural thing. And this right here give them a sense of pride. And when I use that word pride, I always like this word pride. And it's an acronym, I always go, pride is, the P stand for personal, the R stand for responsibility, the I is in, and the D is daily, and the E is effort. Personal responsibility and daily effort. So all you gotta do, wake up every morning and say, pride, and to give them a sense of pride and a purpose, that you don't have to have this guy come to you and you know, at most time they beat him up and whatever, and then he owns you. And people, I think when a lot of people get out of jail, they say, I don't want to come back here. I'm going to have a better life. A lot of them is mothers. And I think this is great. This is great.
I'm not a native person of Craven County, but my family is. I'm an implant, and I relocated to Craven County in 2015, following the passing of my father. And my mother had passed in 2008 before him. So Craven is my down south. When we was a kid, we used to come down south from New York. We came to Vanceboro. So that's my connection to Craven County. And when I did relocate here in 2017, I started working at Craven Community College as the Director of Community Workforce Readiness. And during that time, I was involved with the Craven Pamlico Reentry Council, where we work with those that are returning from prison and jail to help remove barriers so that they can thrive upon their return back into society. And that's when I met Sister Benita Simmons. And she was already on focus with helping women in any way that she could. And one of the areas that was the greatest of challenge was homelessness. So many people getting out of prison and jail with no place to call home. So that creates greater problems, right? Because now they have to survive by any means necessary, and that's what made it dangerous. But I mean, Benita really had a passion. And even though she is not justice involved herself, because Benita has not been to prison or jail, but her heart and the desire to help those, which made her a unicorn, right? And so we did find a space, but it needed to be appropriately zoned so that you can perhaps put a transitional home in a space. And that had its challenges, but through God and mercy and Benita's perseverance, it happened. So then we had a house. And we was going to do all these renovations with the support of Habitat for Humanity. And, you know, after a lot of research, a lot of looking at the property, it made sense that it needed to be destroyed. But God had plans. And so this is really the first rezoned transitional home for women getting out of prison and jail that's in the city limits of New Bern. So this is the start of something great, and it helps in so many ways. Public safety, lower the collateral costs of incarceration. It put people in a better position for employment, and now they get to become taxpayers, right? So this is a win-win-win, and I'm proud to know Benita. I was just really the cheerleading support. She did the work. It's these two words that the world needs to dial into, because we are all behaviors of these two words, and that's called implicit bias. It's so internal and it's so unclear that we use a perception to be the deciding factor when we need to dig into a little more. So one of the things that was a wow moment as we was going through this process to get rezoned was a lady stood up in front of the mayor and the board of aldermen, and she said, people getting out of prison and people that are in prison, they're devils and they're hopeless and could never go to heaven. And I am justice involved. Did 5 years in the federal penitentiary. And I know I'm not a devil. And I hope, and I know that I'm God's favorite guy, so I'm going to heaven. But according to her and her perception, just because you've been to prison, you're not going to heaven. But she forgot that Jesus Christ himself was in prison. So to hear that, I knew that we had hearts and minds to change and to give a more reasonable and visual perception and help to change that mind. And that's what we had to do, and that's what this place has been. It has educated people, right? And it has changed minds and hearts. And one thing I can say about Craven County in the city, that the local elected officials is in complete support of this type of work. That makes the lift a lot lighter. So, yes, it is still hearts and minds that we still need to change, right? All you gotta do is turn on your news and hear some of the political rhetoric, right? But at the same time, I know that this is a ministry, whether you believe in God or not. And it is changing and making this world a better place. So again, I am beyond proud. I can't wait to go get in my car and cry. Because this is the first time I've seen it with furniture and everything. When I saw it last, it was, the walls was just being put up, and brother, this is my lifestyle, not my job. I heard a rapper, Jay-Z, say, and I think he was kind of talking about his partner, Dame. He said, "Oh, you made Hov? Then make another one." My hope and desire is that Benita does it again, in two other communities, how she did it, to do it again. Because if you're just gonna do it one time, is it really a ministry? Right, and I'm not saying, my forward thinking is now that we have gotten large population to receive justice involved people that re-enter. Now let's look at all things that re-enter into the workforce. People that ETS or return from the military, that's a re-entry process. Think about someone that has improved their sobriety and ready to get back in the workforce. That's re-entry. People that get out of the hospital, clean bill of health, that's re-entry. I want to look at re-entry in a complete holistic fashion, because all of those resources can help leverage each other and keep them solvent forever. And it's going to give us a more pecking order to offer the workforce and say, hey, well, this person didn't go to jail, but they are reentering. So that's what I want to see. I want to see this multiply. As the Bible says, be fruitful and multiply. This must happen because this is a start, and this is going to house up to 6 to 12 women. Well, there's more that need a place to stay. So that's why this must continue. This must continue. And to change those perceptions, I also would like to see more DEI conferences, diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations. I want to hear more conversations about one's implicit bias that I have myself. Often when I see somebody, I look and I make a judgment call. And as I continue to talk to them, I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I talked to them because I was completely wrong, right? That's what needs to happen. And again, I would like to start seeing things, all things reentry, and how we can improve our workforce by tapping into that population that were overlooked in our past.
Excellent. Because Armstrong and McGuire, they took feedback, including mine, on Tried by Fire. In that assessment, they made a bunch of really good recommendations of what we do next. And what I want to do is, everybody got their voting dots?
Yep.
Can you take out your voting dots?
Uh-huh.
All right, you got them? Okay, because they identified certain strengths, some challenges, some opportunities, and so forth for Tried by Fire, and there are a lot of them. And I'm going to zip through this really fast, because what I want you to do is get into smaller groups and come up with some action plans, some action steps that we are going to take to achieve some of the recommendations that are out there, okay? So, really quick, these are the internal strengths. These are the good things about Tried by Fire that we have control over. So these are things that are really good about us, and we have total control over them. I've highlighted marketplace demand because it showed up as both that strength and one of those challenges that we have to deal with. So we're going to have to deal with that. So we have this nice little debt-free building. We got Benita Simmons. We have local support and an awesome board composition because we have no 13s on the board. Regional funder support, volunteer base, and we have the passion and we have that vision. Okay? So those are good things that we have control over ourselves. So what I want you to do now, because I want us to work on creating some action steps to achieve these things, rate your top 3. So you have a whole row of dots. I want you to take 3 of them and put 1 next to your top 3 things that are on the internal strengths folder there, and that's going to help us identify what we're going to work on. So, ready, set, go.
Are we going to start?
Which? Yeah, your top 3. So there's 3 dots on your internal strengths.
I was working on strengths.
You pick whatever color you want, dear. But it's just 3 things. Pick 3 things.
Any day now.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
All right, teacher.
Oh, yeah, you got to be ready.
All right, we're done?
No.
All right, you guys can stay. You don't have to come back because you're going to continue voting.
Here, turn the seat. Here, I can turn it. We can do this.
All right, you done?
What we doing now?
We're still.
He said stand.
Huh?
I was waiting because we got to go back.
Stay up. But you can still look at the screen. Where's your dots? Okay. All right. Now, we have some internal challenges. And These are all listed in the report, and here they are. We have staffing.
Oh, yeah.
We've got operational sustainability. We've got the lack of the guidelines and handbook and training. We've got governance and infrastructure issues. We've got strategic planning, consistent revenue streams, resident transportation, board development, and client tracking. These are some of the internal challenges, SWATs, for Tried by Fire. So what I want to do now is since there's 12 of us, I'm going to get into groups of 3. And the 3 of you are going to come up with some activities to either strengthen our strengths or address those opportunities that we have, okay? Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm asking?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Alright, do this. If I don't get the back. Miss Thompson, you want me to move this chair? So you have room?
There we go. Thank you.
Alright, so we have to improve upon our strengths. How do we improve Miss Bonita? I don't know.
Or he said you could do activities. He said something about activities, so.
Yeah, so these are internal strengths. Label math.
I do. Okay, so number 1, attend resource fairs concerning reentry.
Okay. Kind of hearing some of the different pieces.
Okay.
Just as an advisory committee member, not being on the board, like you just don't hear all the
Okay. Okay, that's good.
And also, today helped me to understand where there are gaps in what we're doing and people's understanding. I mean, the financial piece was huge for me, just to kind of hear what all that was going on. Because the bottom line looks like we have a lot, but we really don't have as much as we intended. But I just think, twice a year, absolutely, keep the board on track. Once a year.
Coming out of incarceration. Okay. So there are some already. Okay. So how would you deal with those? Now, that's just one source. We're not sure where the rest of the money is going to come from. We've got money from SACU, gotten money from BAIT, we've gotten some, but those are not, they're not guaranteed that you're going to get them. So what else might there be, and how could we come up with some other sources that are going to provide funding to keep the organization
operational?
Okay.
All right.
So for the federal and state, sounds like to me we need to learn how that works, get familiar with what criteria they don't start right yet. We just learn something.
Right.
But
That's true.
Yeah, whatever. What does it take to get money out of the federal government in this particular?
And then here's the other part too. Is it all about, for federal and state funding, is it all about just grant writing?
Yeah.
Because it's other avenues other than just grant. Right. Scholarships. Now you get that, Ms. P, that's what we talking brainstorming. That's for federal and state funding. We're under the uncertainty of state funding.
State funding.
Federal, wait a minute, federal what now?
Federal/state funding. Wow.
It is. So you're supposed to attend all committee meetings also. Okay.
So I'm gonna try to see if we can get someone to at least be the backup for me, because being in transition with another job and stuff, all this right here is gonna take part in how my role is gonna be here at the Tried by Fire / my sister's house.
Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, what was our other way to improve on marketplace to me? And you said something else, Tennessee. What did you say?
Providing another house in a long term.
Providing other resources besides the house. Isn't that what was said? Or referring me to other programs, like external programs?
Well, you said something about training. It was something about training them, resources for to help them. What was it? marketplace demand. We'll define the process of accepting clients, and then I don't know.
Or a referral process for other resources.
External resources.
Because there's gonna be more women applying, you think, in here.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's exactly what they're saying. It's people that we definitely cannot house because either one are full or whatever. We can still send them out to
Send
the
them
right
to someone
place.
else. Yes, a referral.
So a referral process.
That would be great. Yeah.
Deidre can't deal with a vacuum of silence. You have no idea how difficult it is for me to be quiet, but if, as you have pointed out, if I talk, then other people can't. So it's wonderful.
It too.
But it's wonderful to be able to see people, actually feeling comfortable.
The 2 B's I said, being visible and vocal. Yep. We got a great group. They just have to be motivated.
Well, not unlike the ladies, they have to feel trusted in being able to be vocal and visible.
And guess what? Having our retreat at the house makes everything come together in a way, because we're surrounded by non-judgmental thoughts and words. I think everybody can feel the love.
I hope so.
Yep.
I hope so.
We're done. I think, not unless you have something to say.
That's staffing. Oh, we're doing staffing now. Okay.
Unless we can always come back if we have other thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, staffing. Sorry, I jumped down in here.
They were trying to, they was talking about trying to get retired people.
Yeah.
And
I get it, volunteers and retired folks who have that time on their hands are ideal if they have that background and they have that level of availability and commitment. But we don't need volunteers who say, I'm out today, or we just need, and if that's the case.
It troubles me to think that that's what we're relying on for staffing, because you're right, volunteer, it's easy to
not show up.
With our retiree community. There may be someone who is willing to work 10, 20 hours.
Right.
So a paid position, but part-time.
Just a stipend, not to really have a big salary. Right. But
Agencies.
Agency.
AGENCIEN. Yes. That need.
See, this block ain't working.
I can see.
Well, you might
Beat it down.
You can't say it ain't working because you're through. That need our services.
Our services.
Yeah. Oh, we sitting on the front row now.
We sitting, we cooking with gas. And look, that old folks said, we cooking with gas now.
Oh yeah.
So we finished.
So now this number 2, cross out this number 2 and put it down lower, because this number 2 is for this line.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
for that.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
it's for
sorry.
that.
I'm sorry. It's 1, 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got 2 for that one.
And 2 for that one too. Okay, I'm sorry. So that goes up there. Okay. I'm good.
I think. 3. Yeah, we about done. Hallelujah.
Let's meet up some time.
I need some shouting music. Honey, we finished.
Actually, you beat your time by like 6 minutes, which is awesome.
No, hint.
We just say we had time to make up.
Yeah, we did, and we have, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. So, how was that?
It was real good, very informative.
Well, you guys came up with some thoughts and some ideas?
We probably need to do this every Saturday for the rest of the year.
That's
not
happening. Real solutions, I mean.
No, that's not happening.
We're not zooming.
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Thomasine. Thank you.
Thomasine. No, ma'am.
Might as well just go, right? All right. Focus on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's enough of that. So what I want you to do now is share what you've come up with for addressing the top 3 of these different SWATs that we came up with. Okay. So first group that had the internal.
Yes, right there at the bottom.
The internal strengths. Who's the? Are you the reporter?
Representative right there.
Excuse me. My apologies. If you would please draw your attention to the board over here where it says internal strengths. We addressed the first one, which was Miss Benita Simmons. She is our one and only visionary here, and we put up there that we should and possibly provide more support to her by attending some conferences, or either helping her with training for the group here. And then we went to the second piece of it, which was the board composition, and that was where we suggested improving attendance, making sure that everybody is in attendance for the meetings. We're all engaged, and that every member is actively involved on at least one of the committees.
We felt that would be a way to help Bonita also. See that other bullet point up there? If every board member's on a committee, that will help. I'm sorry.
All right, we love it.
No, I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask you.
That will help Bonita some.
I was going to ask you to state that. So
see?
Great minds think alike. So I was going to ask the input of my colleague that brought it up. So she was the one that basically mentioned about the all board members on a committee, and we just redefined it as to where each one is actively on at least one committee. And then the marketplace demand, we came up with a well-defined process. And then also, Miss Joanna, you put down for the last bullet there.
Oh, the referral process for external resources?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Joanna, can you expand on what you're saying? Because somebody was making too much noise.
No, it's just we need to make sure that we have when we have referral services for those ladies that we cannot house in the sister's house, that we have the resources for them to go to, whatever assistance they may need, that we can refer them to somewhere that can actually help them.
Okay, all right.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
Yeah, y'all go ahead.
Y'all go ahead. Would we do our own referral within the house? Could we do our own referral?
Based upon the partnerships that we already have.
Okay.
Most of the time when people reach out to us, they've already reached out to everybody.
Okay.
So the next thing is hotel or something of that nature.
Okay.
And as we know, that's just short term.
Okay.
But that's one of the roles that the program director is going to have, so that I'm not getting a call at 6:15 in the morning and trying to figure out what information to give her, because I might not have all the information. But when we have a program director, I'll be able to give that phone number and say, call this person, and she'll be able to direct you to some available resources. And one of the other things about the hotels is that I would love to be able to incorporate in some of our grant requests what I'm calling a client assistance fund. So we'd have a separate pool of money so that if somebody needed 2 or 3 days in a hotel until we could find them more permanent housing, that we could cover that expense. Because right now, we got troubles enough just covering our expenses here.
And FYI Comfort Suites is in partnership with us.
Wow. That's good.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, well, y'all already got it. You can't get nobody.
which team was the internal challenges?
B.
That's us.
All right. And the reporter is?
I'll hold it.
Oh, you can hold it.
You want to put it up here?
So one of the top internal challenges that was identified was the board development. So with the board development, we thought today was very informative.
Yes,
It was really good for us to come together and hear our progress, hear what we need to do, and hopefully where we're going. So we thought it would be really helpful to have initially a biannual what do we call it? Retreat. No,
Not
that's
every
no word.
Saturday, just
Not every Saturday. Not every Saturday. Maybe twice a year initially, just as we're getting going, just to make sure we're on the same page and that we are hitting our targets as we have identified. So
That's good.
we came up with that. Also, to do an evaluation of the functioning of the board. Just assessing who we are, what we've done. Again, ensuring that we're on the same page and figuring out if there are other things that we need to do moving forward. It's always a really good thing to kind of assess where we are, just kind of take that time to do so. And then moving on, staffing was the next challenge we thought, and of course, I think that's on all of our minds. And staffing depends on funding, of course. But we think that it is important to tap into our retiree community, for those for part-time needs, and possibly develop a pool of volunteers who have the skill set, who has the commitment, who we can trust that can handle the population, because we know that they're coming from all the statistics you gave us. They're coming with a lot of, I won't say baggage, but a lot of history, trauma, and all of that. So we thought that was very important that if we want to tap into that resource, that we develop a pool of those resources, so that if one is not able to provide the service or being here, then there would be another one to pull from. And then the last one is the consistent revenue stream. Of course, money. We think, it's awesome that we have a Deidre amongst us who's able to find those grants and all of that.
Yes.
I mean, invaluable. And we have a Benita who's always shouldering the burden of coming up with fundraising ideas, and all she has to do is send out an email and say, you guys, I need you to show up here, there, and everywhere. So we think that a subcommittee, that if there's not one, we were not sure if that's the case or not, but if there's not one, a subcommittee that their whole dedication, their sole focus is on fundraising to assist, because, two people, to depend on two people is just not feasible as we're going forward. I mean, what if they're down for whatever reason, and we need that to continue? So thought about that. So I also nurture events and partnerships that has been fruitful. The ones that have been very fruitful to us, and we've done quite a few, I say you guys, all of us, have done a lot of events and partnered with some partners. So the ones that start prioritizing how can we expand that and make it even more fruitful. Also develop our well-connected partners or supporters, new donation streams, looking for those folks who are connected to other folks who may be able to help us and tap into other funding sources, and a new donation and things that we haven't thought of. Y'all jump in here if I'm missing anything. Okay, and also advocate on the local and state agencies and leaders for continued support. This is a big deal, not just for Craven County, but for everybody in this Eastern North Carolina. So, as much as possible, let's figure out who are those local and state agencies that we can tap into that have a heart for what we have a heart for, who have a passion for this population. So.
Go ahead, all y'all. That was good. Are you talking about having an agenda what needs to be worked on or what we've already worked on when we come together, whenever that's agreed upon.
You can certainly reflect on what we have done, because we always want to look at our progress,
Right, okay.
and see how well it worked. But also, what do we need to work on going forward?
Okay.
And that will be something for Mr. Williams to be processing for, the next retreat next year. Because that'll be, about 6 months. About 6 months. What y'all think? About 6 months?
6 months from now.
Yeah.
December.
Well,
Okay, all right.
6
all right,
months.
let's focus on the screen. Everybody, focus on the screen. All right. Who had the external
Opportunities?
Opportunities.
Woo! That is Group C. All right. Okay, all right. So what we have come up with, as you can see and read, but I'll read them out to you. Number one is to attend resource fairs that are specifically reentry. Oftentimes, Deidre and I, we're invited to different resource fairs, sometime, at the state level, at the prisons. And so if we hear about other reentry types resource fairs, to go and network, to gain some more information, strengthen and expand partnerships with available resources. Again, right now, we have extended our hands to RCS, Greater Duffield Hub, and Coastal Community Action. So again, it's amazing. Coastal Women's Shelter. People know us that we don't even think that know us. Like, oh, how did y'all know? Anyway. And so Grant Station research for reentry funding sources. Go online. Just put in the search. Reentry. Put in the search. What's another? Transitional houses. Just different things of that nature. Deidre and I had talked about this, and I think we spoke with Monica at one time, having an appreciation luncheon for our donors. One of our donors said, "Hey, you all can use the facility that Christ Church has." What is that in front of Christ Church?
Harrison Center.
The Harrison Center. You all can use the Harrison Center free of charge to invite the donors at the end of the year. It's a little fundraiser. You understand what I'm saying? It's the end of the year. So some of them need a write-off. And so Sonia, Monica, she loves dealing with the food. With the food situation, so we can have a luncheon telling our donors thank you. But also those donors have friends that can be potential donors. And also, this is beautiful, creating legacy or endowment options. Some people do not have children, and they love our mission and vision. True story. One of our donors said to me, "Benita, you will probably get more from me when I'm dead." He said, "Because your organization is at the top of my foundation list when I die." That's a true story. That's a true story. Okay, every donation receives letter of acknowledgement or appreciation. Deidre's a stickler for making sure that our donors get an acknowledgement letter. And so we appreciate that. Share funding opportunities with partners to strengthen relationship. Nothing says friend like money. Nothing says partnership like money or resource. What I'm finding out, if we get a email stating, "Hey, this is a great opportunity, blah, 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 this is the deadline." Well, with our partnerships, if I send that to Zeb Huff RCS, or if I send that to Hazel Royal from Abundant Life, Duffy Field Hub, or some of our other partners, they get excited. Well, because if I don't get the grant, if we don't get the grant, maybe they can get the grant, and we're still helping each other.
Right.
Share, okay, I said that. Being vocal and visible to donors. Had a conversation with my mom, and we were talking about the retreat and just the things that need to be done. And I said, Mom, this is what we really want right now. Being that we're pivoting to operations. We're finished with construction. We're here. We're sitting in it. We need two things from the board. And she said, what's that? I said, to be vocal and to be more visible. That's it. So thank you.
I'm glad you're having fun, but you're doing some really good work. And you're going to see once I get through consolidating all of this and sharing it with Thomasina, who's going to share it with everyone. And then this isn't the end, because we got a lot of stuff to do, as you've already been able to see. So I'm going to hopefully get with the exec committee so that they can take all of this stuff and summarize it and figure out how we move forward with all of this, and then create this plan. It's going to be what we'll do for the rest of the year to try and make some of this stuff become real. And if you look at each of the SWOT pages, you see there's other really important stuff on there that we have to get to, and we have to somehow get that on our list of things to do. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and hopefully get us over that hump and into operations, and then just refine operations and continue to make the good positive impacts that we're going to make in Eastern North Carolina. So, any other questions about anything else that we've done? Because we're at the end. We're not going to take up much more of your time. Questions, comments, anything?
You do another retreat.
Oh, this is great. I'm telling you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions?
I say any other question.
I have my appointment book. You want to look at October, December? That sounds much better.
You want your grade change, right? Yeah, no. All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
That don't involve you.
That don't involve me. Oh, is that what you're handing out?
No, ma'am. No, sir.
What was this?
Sidebar.
Just
As a sidebar?
I thought you had read it.
Well, I was engaged.
You won't.
Yes, thank you for reminding me, Deidre.
My sister's house, if ever you Google us, if ever you find yourself needing a place for your loved one, probation officers, if you need a place for one of your clients, when you look us up, we are a house of love. We are a house of hope, healing. We are a house of more than one chance. We are a house that loves, and the house was built with this in mind: having a home for women when they come out of prison to restart, to start over, to put together their plan before they re-enter society. Many people don't know that it is imperative that female or male, when they come out of prison, they have to have an address. If they don't have an address, they cannot succeed. They cannot make it. And a home plan is very important. Sometimes when they leave prison, they still don't have a home plan. It is supposed to have already been a part of their release packet to have a home plan, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So in the event that there is a client, there is an individual who needs a place to stay, to get their plan together before re-entering and their justice involved, my sister's house is the place that they would want to come so that they can start again. They can start again, unbiased, no prejudice, non-judgment, just come. And we'll let them, with a lot of love, do the work. Because again, we're a place that we just believe. We believe that there's nothing impossible to them that believe. So that's my story, and I'm kind of sticking with that.
If you could describe to people that don't know your wife in either a word or maybe just one sentence, what would that be?
It's hard to say because she's a little everything and stuff there, but she fear God and she's been led by God. So, you know, like I said, I've been with her, like I said, for 29 years, and I see, and we all follow God, and we don't try to do, and we all have faults and stuff there, but at the same time, we try to put God's word first in everything He does and stuff. And so she's God-fearing, and she's gonna do things right, and shortcuts. No, it's not about that, but everything that God has, and God has favor with different people, and I'm seeing miracles happen, and she's seeing miracles happen through her being obedient to the word of God. So that, in a nutshell, is we are following God. So as we follow God, and that's not going to change. And we don't want nobody that's going to be within the the board or anything else that don't have that fear of God in their heart. I mean, it has to be based by God.
Heartfelt. I mean, she feels it deep. You know what I mean? Some people can take that cut and move on, but it's going to stay with her for a minute. So she's heartfelt.
Anointed and appointed. And she's obedient.
One word. Remarkable. She's the most remarkable person I ever seen. And I'm not saying that because she's my daughter, but I'm saying it because it's the truth. And so that's the one word I would say, remarkable. She's a very remarkable person, young lady.
Only God can solve the mystery. Only God. Oh, only God. Doctor, shake their heads. Woo! Hallelujah. Who else but Him? Only God can pronounce life when there was death. Only God can create the miracle. Only God can solve the mystery. Only God. Only God. Only God. You ask me how I know, because He did it for me. Only God. Only God. Only God. Only God. Let me prove it to you. Save you. Only God. Who else can deliver you to? Only God. He is the chief cornerstone. Hallelujah. God. He promised never to leave you alone. Only God.